All right. What is up, everybody? We're going to get started momentarily. Going to let people filter through, say hi in the comments, and I will also say hi. What is up? All right. Another live UI UX stream today. Hello. Oh, we got a comment from X, finally. You know, I was wondering if like it counted X comments. It said I had 900 people watching last time, and it didn't work. Hello, Jinkchuri of Design. I think that's not how you pronounce your name at all. I'm sorry. Marie, what is up? Makalo, Sajoy, Akil, hey, what is up? Lewis, what is up? Gajira, Malik, what is up? Yeah, we're getting some viewers here, finally. My channel's been like dying lately. It's not cool. Design with Moy. I like that. Very nice. The comments are, I'm sorry, at this point are just coming in too quickly. I can't address everybody. All right. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. The stream is glitching for me. I'm not sure if I'm the only one. Here's the thing. It's out of my hands. Apparently, I need to get in touch with a streaming specialist or somebody because this is too frequent of a thing. And it's like, you know, I have a fast internet connection. You know, I have this streaming at 1080p. Is that the issue? I don't know. All right. Well, anyhow. Yeah. Let's just hide that comment there. Okay. Before I share my screen, I do need to share the fact that I'm gone live here in the Discord server because Discord is where you submit your designs for review. So I'll talk about that here in just a second when I share my screen. But if you have designs for me that you want me to review, then you need to check the description here on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, to be able to understand where you go, to join my Discord server, to join the correct channel, to then submit your design for review. So I'm just going to go ahead real quickly. I'll share this screen, this part right here. This is where people submit. We already have one submission for today from Masab. We'll get to that one, the first one. Check the dark mode, please. But yeah, just come to this server, submit here. It's a free server in Discord, and we will get ready. Oh, did it not work? Oh, okay. It's apparently my stream software is not allowing me. There we go. Okay. I think now you can kind of see my screen, right? It's probably not something that you want to see. Okay. So I am real quickly going to go back here. What is happening? Yeah, there's something going on with my streaming. Oh, I know what it is. I'll fix it. I can never have like a smooth stream just because I've been out of the loop for so long. But I know how to fix it. Let me just go to settings, and I have to share the correct source. That's the issue. Okay. There. Now you can see my screen. Awesome. Okay. Before we begin, I just wanted to mention designcourse.com. Most of you who watch my stream know this already, but maybe not. I have courses and they're interactive on my custom platform. It's not like using Teachable or whatever. We have a custom platform for our courses where you can learn UI UX design in an interactive platform. Also CSS, learning to take Figma designs, designs that were made in Figma by me. Learn how to make those layouts responsive reality in the browser with our CSS course. And then finally, our recent one, which is our advanced front ends course, where you learn to utilize GreenSock animation platform and JavaScript to create really cool interactive platform or interactive user interfaces, essentially. So if you're interested in that, definitely use code STREAM23 for 30% off. You can use it on any of the courses or the All Access Pass, which is something that we recently announced. And that simply allows you to get all my courses for a lot cheaper. What the hell is going on behind me? What happened? Like, why is there a TV on in my background? What is happening? Oh, I must have by accident loaded up the wrong video. Yeah, looks like that's what happened. All right, well, I'll go close that out. I guess we're not going to, maybe we won't have a video today. This sucks. Well, anyway, there's no background behind me. No big deal. Again, I still have to get a little bit more smooth at this streaming thing. All righty. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to do the very first time. Awesome to see you too, Adarsh. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started here. We'll see if we have submissions yet in the Discord server. And we do. All right, this is from Masab. This is called tankage.dev, and they want me to check the dark mode, and I will. Okay. So tankage, home, about us, features, pricing, docs. Let me move this monitor closer to me. There we go. All right. I like the little grid and that's in the background. Nice subtle things, because you could have left that completely blank, a solid color background, but just to have, these very subtle, not too bright gradients, along with the very, reduced opacity of the lines and the grid that you have back here. It's a very nice way to make your designs more interesting instead of just doing an absolute flat background. There's use cases for that, of course. A lot of this is subjective, but this can add just a nice texture to a design. The ultimate file storage for modern web apps. Awesome headline. Love it. Free forever. Now, one thing I would change, and this is a visual hierarchy issue, is notice that your free forever tag, and this is not a clickable element, is styled very similar to your call to action, which is get started, it's easy to use. So I would not encase this in a very similar button style, because that's just too confusing. So free forever can be styled way differently. Don't put it in a button format, because it looks like you can click it, but you can't. Very small detail though, not a big deal. Next up, we have this, which looks like just to be kind of like a UI of the, like a screenshot of what it looks like, but there's some white space underneath it. So I might get rid of that. Very nice secondary headline here. Yeah, I like the nice little grid that you have here just to make it more interesting. Oh, look at this. I like the subtle, yeah, it's another texturized background. This time it's animated. This would actually be way cooler, I think, to put up here so that we can see a little bit of subtle animation. Nice pricing charts. I like he highlighted the one. So visual hierarchy, our eyes are going to be drawn to the one that has the nice high contrast thick border. Of course, there's different ways to do that. You could change the whole background to be like this blue, and then it would really stand out. But yeah, you've done a great job right here as is. So this is a very solid design. And you know what? Let's bring back user ratings. People watching right now, what do you think this design deserves on a scale of 1 to 10 based on what you see here for like the UI itself? We're not talking about functionality. We're just talking about aesthetics. From 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, what do you think this particular design is deserving of? I think it's really solid. If you want to, I'll check out the responsiveness if you want to calculate that or factor that into your score. So if I drag this, yep, it's making good sense. We are suffering some issues right here. Notice this, how it's scrolling. So there might be something that's fixed that's running off. So now we have issues. Again, you might be still in, the process of developing this. All right. So 184 people watching. All right. So yeah, one of the things that I like to do though also is I like to not look at your ratings first, just so I can get a good idea of what I would rate it. But I would rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, probably something like easily an 8 plus. Yeah, very nice. Very minimal issues. All right, awesome. Let's continue on with the next one. So the next one over here. All right. Sojoy, hello, please review this design. All right, I'm bad with colors. Can you suggest a color scheme for this demo? Bad with colors. Let's check it out. Okay. Kind of got some slow internetage occurring here. All right. This is pretty solid so far. I don't see too many issues with colors. Let's scroll down. Looking a little bit monochromatic, I would say. Which is okay in some cases, but I think we can make some things stand out a little bit more. All right. Just checking this out. Wow, it's a nice long landing page. You have a lot of different sections. Let's okay. So this area right here, it feels like it's not a part of the design. It doesn't feel like it fits the theme because it's very colorful. Whereas if you go up here, everything's kind of monochromatic. And so what I would do is introduce color. I wouldn't say you're bad at color, but it seems like we have inconsistencies here when we compare that part with this with everything else in this. I mean, so let's work on this a little bit. The way we can do this is we're in prototype view. If I just type file instead of proto in that part of the URL, I can now gain access to everything else, and I can copy and then just paste. I can copy that artboard and just paste it in here to my own section or my own thing of my own Figma document. So here's the before, and then we'll do the after here. So how can we play around with color just to introduce color and make things feel a little bit more, I guess you could say, consistent in terms of color? Okay. So the first thing you have is like this very light background gray, and that's okay. That's fine with me. But I would want to see a little bit more color, and I think it makes sense if we're to add color anywhere here, it would be on, that's my phone, it would be on your primary call to action, this button right here. So that's my wife. Okay, I'll call you back there. One of my canned messages. So let's choose a primary color because it doesn't seem like you have a primary color here. And again, you don't have to have a color. Like if you just wanted to stick with this, but you would want to reduce the color in this area to make everything else consistent if you want to stick with the monochromatic approach. But we're going to go ahead and give this color, and we're just going to settle on a primary color because I don't see one right here. So if I take the fill and I change this, and we give this, let's see here. We'll just say that's our primary color right there. All right. So I think that would work well. Primary. Okay. So now let's say, like, I feel like this area could have some color in it as well to really make it stand out, perhaps. So, you know, the background of this element, if it's this color, all right, so that doesn't look good. Now you have a fill on this. Now, here's the problem. If we gain access to these, are these SVGs? So it looks like it actually might. So I'll change this to white and this text to white as well. All right, so now we've introduced color a little bit. We can even do something cool like this. If I take this element, we overlap it perhaps and bring it in front. We'll bring this up, these elements. So let's get this and just put it like right there. And we can do like a nice overlap effect because I like to layer things just to make things look a little bit more interesting. We could take these sections, of course, and put them up a little bit like that. So now we have some color in this area. I'm not saying this is the best color choice, but it works. Now we're introducing a little bit of color. We can add some color like in this area right here, which there's something that's affecting it. So no big deal though. I would add a little bit more color here, perhaps your primary color. Maybe in the illustrations or something like that. And then that way your color consistency is going to be a lot better. Outside of that, I really like what I see. Let's give it a rating for the fun of it. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And by the way, if you're watching on Twitter or X, please leave a comment. I want to see if, because it's telling me that there's a lot of people watching on X, but there's like no comments. Leave a comment. Ask me any question, I'll answer it. Doesn't matter. I'm trying to figure this out. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best for this design. Here's the before and after. It was a quick refactor. I'm just trying to introduce a little color here because there's a lot of things happening right. It was just a color that kind of was throwing me off, but the topography is actually pretty solid. I like this. Good visual hierarchy between the type, this label, headline, subhead, everything. Yeah, very solid. I'm going to give this, I think I have to give this probably around an 8 as well. It's not realized in the browser yet, it's just the design, but from what I see, it's pretty solid. So we got 9, 6, 5, 7, 7. All righty. Okay. Yeah, it says 123 people are watching on X, but it's like nothing. Okay. Let's continue on with the next one. This is going to be right here. All right. My second framer template. Yes, a framer template. Okay. We've got kind of like a real large full page design. So let's scroll down. All right. Welcome to Roman 24. This is our mission. Sorry, I had to move my mic so I can see my mic stand. Oh, that's a nice little interaction. So there is an issue like in this section right here that I see. The text is real big and up in front of my face. And this is well, right now it's a maximized browser, obviously. And I would probably want to reduce the type a little bit in terms of how many characters are on each line. So all the way from here to all the way there, it's a lot to read, even though the type is big. I feel like it could be improved on in some way in this area, maybe restructuring the layout slightly, because this is, I just feel like it's off balance here, having their pictures over here with their, the text on this side. I would probably reverse that approach, but yeah, just a quick thought in that section. Coming up on this area, a lot of interactions here, and that's okay. They seem to be pretty decent. You're experimenting with like fixed layouts and stuff, and which I like. I like getting this interaction in here. It's just hard to nail some of this down as much as possible, but I like what I see here. It's pretty solid. I would personally 100% get rid of this border right here. This high contrast. It's semi high contrast. It's like a mid gray, 1 pixel border. This separator, don't need it. It's just visual clutter. I would get rid of that. I would also improve this hamburger icon. There's a lot of space between it, and it's really tucked up here close to the edge of the browser. I would like to see a little bit more white space, or a lot more rather, on the left and right of this design, and also get rid of that border. But overall, from what I see here, this is pretty solid. This is definitely solid. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get for a rating? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll check them out. For me, I'm going to give this, for what it is, that's a very cool interaction right here. Yeah, very close to an 8, I would say. It would make sense. Somebody said 6, 9, 7, 6, 6. Maybe you guys are going a little bit more hardcore on me. I'm reading some of the comments here. So nice. For me, yeah, I already gave my, yeah. Well, we'll just, so 143 people. I don't think 143 people are actively watching me on X. That's the thing. I think they track who watches you just based on who, like, if it just showed up on the feed. I'm trying to figure this out while I'm streaming. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's continue on. We're going to go back to Discord. All right, somebody really wants me to check the mobile. I mean, I will check the mobile. Maybe it's the person who designed it. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Mobile is going to need some work. I noticed right. Where's it at? Here, let's refresh. That part's okay. Okay, I think I was seeing something that went away. It was in the process of when I was scaling it down, but it actually looks pretty good. On mobile, in my opinion. So very nice. Let's continue on. PEX, or PEX, we'll just call you PEX. Was there any comments? No. Okay, let's check it out. Make sure everybody's still here and watching me. Okay. Let's go ahead and refresh this. See if there's any animation. No animation, no problem. PEXplore, PEXplore. That's kind of hard to say, PEXplore. Home. Okay, so the first thing I would adjust here, if I go to F12, developer console area, and I click on these, and we click over here and take a look at the gap property, maybe. There we go. I would do something more like this white space. You need a more white space between each individual link item here. And you also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, I wouldn't go more than that. That would be like the max. But now there's more white space between them. They look a lot better. Welcome to PEXplore. Visit Italy, France. Okay, book now. Okay, so this design that you see right here, this is the hero section. They call it a hero section. It's just like the first part that you see of a landing page, basically. The style that you're utilizing for this particular hero section it's not objectively wrong, but it's outdated. Having just a background picture that's, you know, a little bit watermarked and like reduced opacity like you have here, which is a good idea. And then just having like a subhead, a head, and then a single call to action centered up is an old school approach kind of to this type of thing. So first we have to ask ourselves what type of hero section makes the most sense for the context given what we're trying to like achieve here on this business. So let me scroll down and see what's happening. Okay. This is the big problem with this design. This right here, this hero section, dedicating all this very important space to just a subhead, a headline, and a book now is a travesty. This landing page would perform very poorly if you compared it, if you did a split A/B test with it, if you compared it to just taking this part and making this your hero section. This should be the hero section right here because you have your call to action right up here in their face. You want these leads as much as possible. That's going to be the primary objective of this landing page. So you want to put this up. Okay. Outside of that, this form looks pretty good to me. You could probably reduce the width and maybe, yeah, although it's fine just like this as is. If I scroll down, packages, we have here cards. The cards look pretty good. No problem there. One thing I don't like is the color here. So that's nice. I like this color a lot more on hover, but compared to this, the gray. So notice you have a lot of color on this particular section of the layout. And when you have a lot of color like this light green, and then you have icons next to it that are gray, like mid-gray, it kills the vibe of the design. It's bad color contrast. So what I would do is I would take one of these and I would simply make them perhaps a much darker version of this hue, this color, and it will just match much better. I would have to mess around with some things here. It looks like this isn't as straightforward to adjust, but I would adjust that. Outside of that, left align about us over here because you've established a column right here, and you've also established a column, a very strong column right here with all this text. When it comes to type and figuring out layout positioning and columns and rows, well, columns are created just by, like, for instance, the edge of your type. The edges, like the left edge, the right edge. Well, this is left align text. So to be consistent, I would left align this text as well, right up against this imaginary column that's been established. And it's going to make it flow a lot better. In fact, I could probably adjust that because there's going to be a text align center. Yep, right there. There we go. That is so much better. It just redefines that column right there on the left so much more. It's a small change. It's a quick change, but it's better. I think objectively so. Now, you also have some issues with this image. I'm not sure if it comes out very well based on the streaming quality, but this right here, you have like these little moons that are, they almost blend in. You don't want that. It's horrible color contrast with this pink on this green. So change those colors. You want to definitely check out, you want to really pay attention to the details because that's what separates really good designers from maybe average designers. So think about that. We'll give this a rating, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think this person deserves for a rating for this design as is? We'll check out the responsive nature as well. So let me just get this. So this is obviously real easy to make this responsive because it's responsive. It doesn't have to be responsive. You're literally stacking 3 things on top of each other. Up here, the layout breaks. We can see home is cut off, about is cut off. You definitely don't want to have that because if you got this on an actual phone, it would be broken even further. Again, you might be in a process of working on this still though. So let's check out ratings. Somebody said 6669.5. I don't think 9.5, but 47754. Okay. So what I would say for a rating on this is I would give this one Pexplore. I'd probably give this like a 6.5. I think that would be pretty fair. Again, small changes would bump that up a few, so don't get like too discouraged for that purpose. All right. Let me check my stream stats. We're up 25 minutes, 300 people. All right. Again, if you're watching on X, leave a comment. I want to see if you're actually, how many people are actually watching on X. This thing's telling me 177 people. I don't think so. I think it's bad, just bad stats from X. Come on, Elon, get this stuff working. He's trying to pad the numbers, probably. Like, hey, we'll stream on here. You're gonna get all these streamers, and it's like what happened is I think what happens is you'll be on X, like here, and you scroll down, and somebody's live streaming, perhaps, and then they're gonna count that as an active viewer and not like subtract that viewer when they scroll past or something. It's dumb. I don't know. Anyway, I know. Forget the damn X, Gary. Focus on the content. I'm trying to troubleshoot stuff in my business while I do this. All right. Next up, we got Nathaniel. Wait, no, I'm sorry. We got somebody else before that. Okay. We have Schwumpf. All right, a small project that I recently published. Sorry, unfortunately, it's only in German, but there should be a translation thing here. Yes. All right, just only necessary ones. Oh, we got an interesting. Let's check the stack. We got to check the stack. Oh, shoot, hit the wrong button. There we go. All right, the stack is, it's a PWA, Progressive Web App, Open Graph, Swiper, jQuery, 3JS. That's where it is. Okay, so, and Bootstrap. I haven't seen Bootstrap in a long time, personally. Okay, but it works, obviously. So this is the 3JS thing. And for those of you wondering what 3JS is, it's just basically a library that allows you to easily, I'll put those in quotes, get 3D in the browser, essentially. So that's why it says 3D. So if I scroll past these, I don't know what this site's about because obviously I don't think, the translation won't work on 3JS projects. So I'm not sure what's happening here. I can't really give an opinion yet. It's an interesting little thing that you have happening, but I have no clue what this website's for yet. So I'll just have to scroll down and just guess. These books or something. Sounds like this. It's a site that have to do with books. I think this fixed nav up here is a little bit, it's occupying too much vertical space. I would reduce the white space below and above the navigation. All right. Now these cards look pretty decent. They're not bad. You do have a more button. I would emphasize that, not with just a mid gray, because it gets hidden pretty easily. So I make that higher contrast. All right, let's click on this. Okay. Okay, so this right here, this is a cool idea, this tree, but I would probably not make the leaves come out this far because it's taking away a little bit of attention from the send button because it's the same color. I would reduce the amount of leaves over in this area, but that's a cool idea. I like it. That's cool. But yeah, this part I'm not a fan of the marquee up here. And I'm kind of not a fan of having the gray this dark in the background. What I would do instead is use a lighter shade for this section. And I don't know. Let's see here. If I take the background color, override it, background, I'm just going to say gray. Is it going to work? No. Maybe I have to put important. Okay, it's not going to work, but almost white. Just a few shades less than white. I think it would be better. Okay. We'll do a rating on this. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think this person deserves? We'll check the responsiveness. So let's shrink this sucker in. Again, that's good. We're collapsing each card. All is good so far. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think? Get your answers in. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm not going to look at your answers yet. I'm going to give this a rating for what I see here. 6.7. I'm doing a point system, by the way. So we got a 6, 8, 7, 7, 7, 8.5, 8.5. Yeah. Seems like I'm a little bit on the lower side. I thought you said, Gary, where are you watching from? What time is it in your country? No. I live in Ohio, United States. It's raining like hell right now. Okay. Let's check out the rest. Oh, by the way, it is halfway through the scheduled stream. So I'm going to go ahead and mention to those of you who are watching, if you use the code STREAM23, STREAM 23, all one word, you get 30% off any of my courses. And you can also take advantage of the package deal, which you can find right here, down here. Get access to all my courses right here. Wow, why does it keep doing that? Stop scrolling up. Yes. Do they all access pass? We just released this last week. So you can, it's $198. You can actually get more off of this if you use other coupon codes and checkout progress. So you get dozens upon dozens of hours of courses to check out for UI UX design, CSS, and advanced front ends, my new course. Definitely check it out. And let's go back. Yep, I am in Ohio. It's raining hard. Yes, that is true. Take note of that. Let's go ahead and do another one. Oh, by the way, I should share a story. This sucks. I'm going to switch off. I look really bright right now. Why am I so bright? I know why. Because that screen's no longer on behind me and it was screwed up. Let me fix my my brightness real quick if I can do that, because I'm just like way too bright. My hair's like going all crazy. 1 second here. Adjusting a brightness. I don't think it's going to work. Oh, well, I'm just going to have to be stupidly bright right now. One thing I can do is reduce this. 1 second. Where did my, there it is. I'm back. I have a pool table in front of me with this really bright light, so I just kind of reduce the intensity. Okay. Yeah. So this is completely nothing to do with UI UX design or whatever, but this is a kind of like an important message I'm going to put out there, and something happened to me recently. So essentially we have 4 dogs, and some of you might know this already. I did make a post about it on X, but we have a lab, and he's 7 years old. And 2 days ago, I recognized that he was real lethargic, kind of acting, kind of like mopey or whatever. And my wife was out at a dance competition with my daughters. We have 2 daughters, 14 and 11. And they're both competition dancers. So they're away over the weekend. And I called her up and I was like, he's just acting like he's tired, like way too tired, And she's like, well, he did this last time we had a competition because he thinks he's, we think he's just depressed. He likes to be played with or whatever. And because she was gone, and I was like, okay, well, I'll go to the studio after work. I'll come back. And so I came back and he wasn't downstairs, and I go upstairs and he's in a hallway laying down. I'm like, Chase, his name's Chase. And like, he didn't move. And like, I went to him and yeah, he was dead. And so our lab died 2 days ago. And I've never considered myself like a dog person. I'm more of like a cat person. When I was growing up, my dad didn't like dogs. So we never had dogs. And this is my like kind of like first dog that we've had. We've been married for a long time. So, we got him 7 years ago as a puppy. And I thought to myself, prior to this, to him dying, like if he dies, I probably won't be affected that much. And boy, was I wrong. I took that like a family member, and it's like hindsight's 2020. I feel like I should have paid more attention to him, and I should have played with him more. And my wife, of course, she's going through the same thoughts, except worse, because she was real close with him. And in my realization, and the reason I'm mentioning this, because I don't want to just talk about my dog, is I realized it created a fundamental change in my perception of life I realized that if I can be affected so much by a dog's death, who, I liked him. He was a nice, great dog. Labs are just so goofy and fun. If I could be affected that much and it could shake me up that much, then what's going to happen when my parents die? And so my dad, some of you know, I've shared throughout the years, he's on his third stroke now. He's 77. He's in horrible shape. He still manages to barely just walk and barely just drive, which is crazy because he just had a stroke like 3 months ago. Probably not safe, but he's going to be dead soon. And I don't know why I've been distancing myself from him. And I think I know why, because it's been a subconscious thing. It's I realized that first stroke that happened 5 years ago, he's on his way out essentially within 10 years for sure from that point. And so I realized that what I need to do, and this is going to be so out of character, is I just have to go over there and I just have to lay my emotions out there and just tell them that I love them, because I know if I don't, I'm going to have the greatest feeling of freaking regret that I've ever experienced in my life. And I know that will happen, because if it happens with a dog, then it will happen certainly with your parents. Even if you have a strained relationship, it's going to kill you when they die. All right, that's enough of that. That's my little speech. But yeah, it's tough. It is tough. Yeah, I'm just reading through some comments here. Lost my dad 4 years ago, my mom 2 months ago. It's tough. It's very difficult, and in a weird way, it's that dog's death has made me grow up and mature in a very quick time. I'm just reading through some of your comments here. Yeah, you definitely start thinking about your own mortality. It's difficult. Yeah. Well, anyhow, let's continue on. I spammed you. I gave you a story, and now we got to get back to business. Okay, let me close out some of these previous reviews I just did. We'll close that one out. All right, let's get back to this. All right, so hopefully we have some more in here. All right. We got 775. Okay, so let's check this one out. This is from Nathaniel. I think we didn't check this one out. Nope. Okay, so let's go back to Discord. I've been trying to learn design by freelancing. I'm an application developer first, trying to get better at design. This was a paid project for a trade business. All right, let's do this. Trying to learn design by freelance. I'm wrapping my head around this for a second. Trying to learn design by freelancing. Interesting. Okay. I'm an application developer first, trying to get better design. Okay, let's check it out. 777 Fire. We do gas fireplaces. All right. You know what? At least you're honest about it. Again, we're talking about we see kind of a more typical approach, with the hero section in the background like this. And honestly, that's fine. I like the fact that you say we do gas fireplaces. You're telling people exactly what you're doing. I think one thing you could do a little bit better with the copy here, instead of just putting 77 Fire in your logo, this white logo should be maybe even a little bit larger, and this one would be a little bit smaller, but this would be your primary headline, and this would be your secondary headline. Your secondary headline emphasizes the features. A feature of your business is that you do fireplaces, right? You gas fireplaces. But you want to emphasize benefits. What is the benefit of having a gas fireplace? That's what you have to ask yourself. And you have to, and maybe even use ChatGPT. It's great for this sort of thing. Let's try it. I'm going to get out ChatGPT. So I'm going to go over to, let's see here, chat.open.ai. You can see all my chat history, obituary example template. My wife's grandmother died 3 months ago, 1 week ago. So she's really going through it because the dog and then her. But anyway, let's continue on. And let's do a new message. So what we're going to say is, write me 10 different headlines, and I'll try to zoom up so you can see what I'm writing, that emphasize the benefits of having a gas fireplace. Here, let's having a gas fireplace, and make them less than 7 words long. There. Let's see what happens. Warmth and ambience. Warmth and ambience. I literally just sounded like Mike Tyson there. Warmth and ambience with gas fireplaces. Efficient heating, gas fireplace advantage. I don't like that. Instant warmth. The gas fireplace. Eco-friendly. Gas fireplace shine. Yeah, so some of these are actually pretty decent, and they can spawn some ideas for you to emphasize the benefits of having a gas fireplace. All right. So I know that has nothing to do with UI UX, but it's entirely relevant because ad copy is just as important as your design. Okay, let's continue on with that review. Scrolling down, just want to make sure. All right, so crafting warmth for your home, installs, retrofit installs, repair, inspectioning, cleaning. That's an interesting way to showcase the features of what your business is. I mean, I guess it could work. It just seems like we just have random fireplace pictures here. I'm not sure how I feel about that section, actually, which is a very rare thing. I usually have something to say. Now, I do have something to say about this one. Okay, there's a couple things I would fix. First, we'd love to work with you. Notice the amount of space, the white space between these lines of text. All right, these two lines, I would reduce that. So it should come up a little bit higher than where it currently is. Additionally, I see the biggest thing that caught my eye on this whole page is this, the submit button. The submit button has bad color contrast. So if you look at the shades around it based on this background image, and then you look at the shade of the submit button, they're very just desaturated and they blend in. Your submit button needs to really stand out. Visual hierarchy, it's the most important element that should catch your eye, maybe outside of a headline. So we need to change the color of that. So a color that would work well, given this background that it's on, I'm not sure. We can experiment with it. We can take I'm not sure how you structured your markup with this. Let's see if I could change the background here. Background, black. Nope, that's not working. It must be on this one. I don't know. Is it background black? Nope. Oh, okay. I think that's it. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so now we have access to change the color, and now we can get the actual color. Even like that stands out better. So let's see here. Let's get this. See if we can find something that works pretty well. Again, maybe not that desaturated. I mean, I feel like definitely you should change the submit type, and maybe we should add more white space above on the inside of the text above it, and also make submit larger. So I'm not sure what is going on here. We have a lot of crazy markup. So let me just do font size 2M. That's better. We'll do padding 1M 0. There we go. That's better. And then now we have to grab the anchor text to change that right there. Submit. So what are they doing? We'd love to work with you. Schedule a service call. We'll just do schedule now. That right there is better. Let's also do, we'll take this and we'll do font weight bold. There we go. That's sticking out a lot better, and it's a lot more noticeable than what you had before. Additionally, another thing, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but there's a lot of things to say. Another thing I might see, because this right here, this quote page is the number one thing that you want them to do. Like that's the action that you want them to take. Again, it almost makes sense because you're not doing much up here. I would have a 2-column approach, a left column and a right column. In the right column, I would have a simplified version of this form. There's a lot of stuff that you're collecting here, and the better flow for this sort of thing, when you have a form in which you have to collect a lot of information, is you start them off in the hero section near a landing page. You start them off by just collecting 1 or 2 bits of information, and then a strong call to action button. The next page, then you're going to go ahead and grab more, because at that point they're committed. All right. That will increase your versions, your conversion ratio typically. So that's what I would do. I would refactor this and have the form up here. You can have the form down here if you want to, and make it a more simplified version of the form, and then collect all the information in the second step. All right, let us continue on. Oh, let me get rid of that comment. Sorry about that. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think this person deserves for a rating for this design? Let's check out responsive. Of course, there's going to be some issues, this is a little bit low, but it looks like it's working here. Now, one thing that's broken, okay, so let me show you. I mean, again, maybe this isn't finished. I understand that completely. Don't get embarrassed or don't get mad because I'm like, oh, it's not finished or whatever. Like iPhone XR, okay, looking pretty good. iPhone SE, that's not bad. Yeah, like iPad Mini, this kind of looks kind of small in my opinion, the hero section, but it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and give this design probably something like, let's see. I think like a 6.9 would be fine. What did everybody say? Oh my God, a 3? You're all are very hardcore. All righty. We're at 46 minutes. Shoot. All right, let's continue on. Oh, I skipped somebody's design. I hate. Antonio. Did I skip Antonio's design? My second design. All right, well, I'll check it out. Oh, yeah, I did skip that design. Sorry about that. All right. Okay. So let's check this design out. Where projects get simplified. Task Hub. Okay. Stay connected, accomplish more, no matter the distance. Start free trial. Okay. It's not too bad. You're showing a preview of the design. What would be really cool is if you created an animation of this, like where you have this element and this little cursor, highlight this element, maybe pop up and then make it move over and highlight another feature. That's the no-brainer approach. Hopefully that's what you were thinking with this. So once it's realized in code, you can do some type of looping thing where you describe what's happening. Very nice. And I like this. Yeah. So like these type of borders where it fades out on the right and left like this, I like that. And it's something that's coming back. I see you didn't hear. This is something that used to be an aesthetic that was used a lot, especially subtle gradients coming back as well. Flat design is out, but not entirely out. Everything used to be flat, but I think it's funner now to make things more interesting. Obviously in a new modern way. I really like this, like the grid effect here, good texture, like I was talking about before. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, this is solid. Check out some things here. Yeah, I don't have much of a problem with this. Very solid. Yeah. What do y'all think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Check the comments here. Whoa, somebody already gave it a 10. That's amazing. So for me, based on what I see here, yeah, this is solid. I would love to see it like realized in a browser with animation stuff, but I'm not going to count that against you. So what I see here, yeah, I'm going to give you like a high 8, close to a 9 or so. Very nice. See what else other people said. 8, 8.5, 9.5, 10 out of 10, 8.5. The authors, we'll find out in a second, 7.5, 9. Nice. Okay, let's check out who that was. Yep, that was Antonio, very nice, Antonio. All right, so let's check out the next one. Try this one, Livecast IO, modern look. Is this your design or is this somebody else's? Oh, okay. What is happening here? This is the third design in which I've seen a grid texture being used like in this context on the background of a UI. It's very interesting. Okay, so one thing I don't like is all this white space here, because again, I'm on a maximized browser. People browse websites with their browser maximized, clearly. So what I would advise in the context of this particular situation is, notice the amount of white space on the left of your design. It's not very much. Same thing to the right of your download button, not very much. Those are the outer columns that define your design. So I would bring those in, bring the download button in to like here, and then equal white space on the left right here for this stuff. And that way you don't have such a big old open area. Otherwise, you need to put something here. You also need to work on your balance a little bit, your vertical balance of your topography here in the hero section. So what I mean by that is take a look at how much white space. Actually, I'll demonstrate it. There's this much here. And then down here, underneath these buttons, you have this much, and it's almost twice as much white space. Ideally, this would be centered. This whole element be centered vertically and pushed over to the left. Okay, continuing on. Yeah, here's another thing. You want to center these, obviously. And sometimes if you're working on a browser when you're designing that's not as wide, you could get away with doing this. Say, for instance, if I resize this browser window to right here, this looks fine. But look at the white space over here. So you want to avoid that. This reminds me of like YouTube's little bar or so. I like this section, but again, like the alignment is off. These elements should be centered right here, moved over from here to over here, not have all this white space. Again, too much white space between these sections. Same thing here. And again, when it comes to this sort of thing, again, push your design in. In fact, I could probably do that real quick. If I go to F12, kind of get an idea what's happening here. Padding top, padding left and right, you have 1.5 rem units. So let's do like 5 rem. No, let's go like 10 rem. And then 10 rem on the other side too. Look at that. It frames your design so much better when you have more white space on a maximized browser. Now, when you get into like a tablet, you don't want to maintain this same level of white space. You want to reduce it a bit. So this is the most white space, or you can even go further in than this and it'd still be fine. In fact, it might even make sense to go like to 15 rem. So if I do 15 rem, we look like this and we're still looking solid. One issue I just noticed, look, no white space. This card should have padding on the inside of it so that this doesn't happen. This should be on the second line down there. All right. Now, okay, I'm glad this happened because the pricing cards in this context aren't ideal because you lack visual hierarchy. I hate saying that word. That's a word salad. But what I mean essentially is you're not sure which one I should go with, right? And you should always emphasize one. What's going to be the best value? All right. So you have a lot of options here and it's kind of confusing. Additionally, white space. A lot of white space between these elements. I would reduce the white space or make the type a little bit bigger and reduce it as well. So all of these should be so 3 of these should be designed exactly the same, and then one of them should stand out. And typically, the way you can make them stand out is either through a thick border or stroke that goes around, a different background color, etc. So you can really make it stand out and just emphasize the one that makes the most sense, not the cheapest, not the one that's extremely expensive, but the one that makes the most sense for most people. So yeah. The coming soon down here kind of needs work. Too much white space on the right and left, but not enough on the top and bottom. Okay, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. Let's go ahead and rate this. As it stands, there's a lot of issues in terms of alignment primarily. So with the alignment issues and this part, factors, there's a lot of things happening right here. Don't get me wrong. And it wouldn't take that much longer to really like get this shaped up like how I want it to. If I sat down like in the code and mess with this for a single session for like an hour, we could get this squared away. So don't act like you have to restart. I hope none of you feel that you have to restart unless I tell you that you have to restart. These are typically small, quick fixes that we can change. So I'm going to give this one a rating. Again, it's close to a 7. I think so. Because there's a lot of stuff happening right here. We can't discount that. Everybody here, wow, 6, 3, 3, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5. I guess I'm being really nice today. All right. So how many people are watching here? 254. Yeah, that's not true. X sucks, man. I like X, but for streaming, I think they're lying. All right. So we are at 55 minutes already. Yeah, let's do some Q&A for a while, and then we'll conclude this. Let's just hang out. We're going to talk. I will mention that if you want to get my courses, stream 23 during this course or this stream, will get you 30% off of any of my courses and the package deal too, I believe. And you will learn UI UX design in interactive setting in my course that is 16 plus hours long. There's also the CSS course where you learn how to take my designs made in Figma and you make them a reality in the browser responsively with HTML and CSS. And then finally, advanced front ends as well, which I just released. And you can check out the video here on the landing page to learn what is included there. So let's check out some comments here. I'm requesting you to review my portfolio. So I'm doing these every week now. Again, I'm starting back up. And if you want me to review your portfolio, you have 2 options, or your design or whatever it is. You have 2 options. The first option is just go into Discord, in my Discord server, and idle there, meaning just hang out and give yourself the stream ping role. So if I switch over here, when you join up, there is a stream ping section, assign a role right here. And you want to click on this little button where it says stream notification. So it's currently 2,000 people want to be notified when I go live. And so when I go live, I make a news announcement in my news section channel right here. And I mentioned the stream ping. I said, we're live now. Please submit your designs to be reviewed in this channel right here. This is where people submit their designs to be reviewed. And then I review them. So that's your first option. Your second option is to go to designcourse.com and you can join Mentor. All right. So you can just join Mentor. And what Mentor is if you join the UX course, you get access to Mentor, and it's just a monthly subscription service where you can submit any design that you have that you want me to look at, and I'll take a look at it and review it. So those are your 2 options. The one is paid. The other one, just wait till next week. Okay. So now let's get back to some of the questions. Let's see here. I'm not sure really I understand what you're asking here. Why is ARIA not important for a good design? So I'm not really sure I understand, because we're talking about accessibility, I believe. So accessibility, of course, is very important. You have to consider your audience. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit more. I'm working on a dashboard. What's the size of frame I should be working on? Well, it depends, because a dashboard, depending on where it's going to be used, assuming it's like a web-based dashboard, like on a website, a person can access it through a browser. If that's the case, there's no set frame that you need to work with. It needs to work on all sizes. So you need to look into responsive design and start understanding, because I think that's where you're getting hung up at. If you research responsive design, like in Figma or whatever, or you take my course, you're going to learn how to tackle those questions. How much do I rate Tailwind? Well, you know what? I've done a couple crash courses, but I've never been a frequent user of Tailwind. It helps speed up your CSS workflow so you don't have to write CSS from scratch. You're using utility classes and HTML essentially. I'm not 100% of a fan of having my HTML marked up with all of these classes because it can be difficult to scan potentially. So for me, I've stayed away from Tailwind, but I know there are perfectly legitimate arguments for using it, and people use it and they like it, and that's awesome. So I'm not going to be like, oh, don't use it. I just personally don't use it. I am designing my portfolio. Will say, okay, never mind. How much would I charge to develop an entire website based on website coding with AI chat functionality? So I don't know what you mean based on website coding. I am assuming maybe you're talking about like a blog where you have tutorials like written or otherwise on coding with AI chat functionality. I don't know. So first of all, AI chat functionality, I have livechat.com. That's who I use for the chat service at designcourse.com. And they're integrated, I think, in AI solution recently. So there are third-party live chat providers now that offer AI integration. So that's not something you would do from scratch. So the cost of that would simply be the cost of whatever the live chat service costs, per month or whatever. Now, how much would I charge? It depends. Like, you didn't give me enough details. I would have to see a whole project brief to accurately answer that information or that question. You're kind of shredded now. Got any tips? Well, the shredding, let's see what the muscle looks like. Woo-hoo. Oh, we're getting there. We'll talk about fitness. Just to back up, the big thing about body fat percentage is if you're drinking every night alcohol, you're probably not going to be able to see abs. And that was my case. I had a dad bod, and I finally stopped drinking 15 months ago or so, 2 Decembers ago, December 14th. It's one of those things you freaking remember because it's such a pivotal moment. I did switch to the gummies. I'll be honest. Like, I do that every night. I have fun playing pool, my guitars and stuff back there, whatever. It's not ideal, but it's way better than alcohol. Anyhow, when I switched off of alcohol, within like 3 months, I lost 25 pounds. And that was what I needed to be in order to start seeing abs. So that's my first tip. If you're drinking alcohol regularly, stop. Once a week, fine. But if you're doing it multiple times a week, it's inflaming your body. It's a poison in a sense. It makes your recovery worse. It lowers testosterone. It's gonna harm all things fitness, So you wanna stay away from that. Additionally, I do 2-a-days, 5 days a week. It sounds like a lot, but it's what I do, and I split it up. So basically, I go to the gym in the morning at like 9:30, 9 a.m., 8:30, whatever. I lift weights for like 45 minutes to an hour. I'll stretch at the end, static stretching, long stretches, which help my back. So I have a bunch of stretches I do. And then like 4 or 5 p.m., I run. So I'll run at least a 5K 5 days a week. So I'm up to like 15. It's anywhere between 15 and 20 miles a week. So it's a lot. It sounds like a lot. It is, but it's part of my routine. It's been part of my routine for a long time. That's what I do. Okay. Is there going to be a live UI UX workshop soon? Okay. So I'm doing these once a week. I don't have a set date yet, and I probably should have a set date where I do it no matter what. But right now it's loose. It's usually later on in the week. So next week we'll do this again. What's your Discord server? So if you check, oh, you're on Twitch. Okay. So that's a problem. Let me link it real quick. Let me see. Let me link my Discord server. So let me think where I'm going to go to access that link. I think it's in the description of this YouTube video. Well, what I'll have you do is just, Marco, go to youtube.com/design course. You'll find any of my videos in the description. You'll see the link to my Discord server. You're very welcome. Tell us something about designing in dark mode. Dark mode is exactly like designing in light mode. You're just dealing with darker shades. There, I told you something. All right. Oh, okay. I understand. I understand. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm trying to keep this each of the reviews. I don't want them to be too lengthy because I want to get more reviews in. So if I tried to critique every aspect, it would be more difficult. It would be more lengthy. Um, is spatial design going trend now? Only limited to the confines of individuals who've purchased the Apple Vision Pro, which I didn't. I mean, that's like $3,500. There's no way I was going to do that. If I was making a hell of a lot more money, I might just for the fun of it. But no, I don't think spatial design, in my opinion, for a while until they come out with better hardware, is going to be a huge thing. It's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but next up, greetings, Dev. Let's see. I'm working business to business web redesign, lots of numbers and tables. Any tips of examples? That's a hard question because it's very generalized. So I'm not sure what you mean exactly by tables. Are you talking about like data that's in table format, like heavy type-based data? I'm not sure. Is it good to start your design career with UX or UI only? That's an interesting question because I'm not exactly sure. I wish you could kind of elaborate on that question a little bit more. But I will talk about UX versus UI, and this is a video I've been wanting to make. And it's like, it used to be a webmaster. Like 25, 30 years ago, you were a webmaster, and you're a full stack developer essentially. We just didn't have the term full stack developer back then. A webmaster was somebody who took care of everything: the design, the coding, the implementation, the market, all that stuff. And then they changed it to web designer very shortly thereafter. I'm a web designer, still full stack developer for the most part. We didn't really have separation between design and code, until the early 2000s, I would say. Then we got into UI UX design and separation of roles. And then for some reason, the industry decided to switch the acronyms to feature UX first and then UI. I'm a UX UI designer, not a UI UX designer. I'm a UX UI designer. Why? Because UX became this buzzword that was huge. It took off sometime probably in the early 2010s. And we were entered into this age of just word salad craziness, every project has to have an empathy map. It has to have a user journey flow. It has to have all this stuff. And it's like, all right, us OGs, like me and Michael Mel, which we've started off in the same time, or like same age, I think, who's another designer on YouTube. He's my friend. He's the same ilk as me of this stuff. The real work is done typically, especially if you're a freelancer, it's done in the UI design phase. Understanding how to actually build UIs is by doing them. Not all this other stuff of UX, where people try to get hung up on the abstract parts of it, because a lot of UX kind of feels more abstract because it's not necessarily hands-on. Yes, UI is a part of UX. UX is a big umbrella term. I would rather you focus on UI, okay? UX, that includes other things like usability testing. There's services that offer split testing. This is really it's not that difficult. A lot of it, UX, your understanding of UX is something that you do to a large degree subconsciously, okay? So here's what I mean. Most people watching this have been on the internet for a long time, for years. You know how to use a browser. You know how to use a website. You've been a user. You've been an observer of UX practices without knowing it. So a lot of the patterns that websites need and UIs need are things that you understand already because you've observed them. All right. Now, that doesn't mean that some people don't screw up the UX, especially if you're a new designer. It's easy to mess up the UX. But to a large extent, a lot of it is no-brainer stuff. So all the part of the process of UX, a lot of it is no-brainer stuff. And there's some people out there would have you believe that that's not true. I disagree with them. A lot of it is, I think a lot of it's posturing from like UX schools and stuff to make it feel like this big, scary thing with all these big, scary terminology that they use. Don't look at it like that. Get in Figma or something similar and start designing and take it seriously. And actually doing stuff is the way you're going to get better. Sorry, I spent a lot of time on that question. Next up, let's see here. Okay. Is it good to... Let's check this. Oh, sorry, we got some more. What tech stacks did you use in your design course website? So I didn't build designcourse.com. I designed the UI in Figma, and then I had two other people, Jip and Mr. JVS, the Discord people. I take care of the rest. And so the stack, if you ever want to know the tech stack of a website, just install the Wapalizer plugin right here. I click it right here, and it tells me. So we have, it's based on Vue and Nuxt.js. So basically a Vue site. 3JS has worked in here very minimally. Also GreenSock animation platform, Google Analytics, and all that stuff. So definitely get that browser. That way you wouldn't have to ask that question. Let's see here. What is the best way to start earning from UI UX? Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to make money as a UI UX designer. I'll go over them real quickly off the top of my head. So the first, and I'm not going to say like what is the best. I'm just going to give you ideas because someone can make a lot more money in some of these areas than another person and vice versa. So the most obvious is to become a freelance UI UX designer. And that means you're going to be performing UI UX design for companies. Okay. That's the obvious one, right? You can also make money by selling assets to other UI UX designers. So things like templates, you can make a great career. And I know some people who've already done it by targeting like Webflow and just making only Webflow templates. You can make free Webflow templates requiring email, build up an email list of thousands of people, and then really make a freaking blockbuster template and announce it to them, advertise it to them. And then you have a huge email list, and email is king when it comes to launching products. It's not social media, it's email. Almost every time, not like 99 out of 100 times, your email list, when you send out a blast, will outperform you uploading a video on Instagram or YouTube. So that's another way to sell assets like templates. Another way you could do it is to teach it. That's what I do. Yeah. So I started out as a UI UX designer and front-end developer and a little bit of back-end and marketing and all this stuff. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to work with clients anymore. I'm going to teach it. So that's another way. So that's 3 ways that you can make money as a UI UX designer. And not one of them is going to be better than the other. It depends on how you execute them, your plan of action. For how long will flat design last for? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how long it'll last. It will be with us forever in varying contexts. All right. So when flat design came out, which was inspired by Google's material design, we called it flat design. It became a trend. I think that was like 2015 or so, or 2014. I might be wrong, but it's somewhere around there. When that came out, everybody made everything flat, which was a divergence, a very a big contrast between what we were doing before that. Because before that was Web 2.0. And again, it's just a buzzword that we used in the web design community and other communities on the internet. But with UI UX design, Web 2.0 simply meant a lot of gradients, a lot of strokes, borders, drop shadows, things like that. And then everything just became flat. Now we're starting to see flat design it's not all just flat anymore. We're bringing back gradients and strokes and interesting things like that. All right. In the past, you told, all right. So UX UI in the past, you told us that UI design is UX design. I agree on that. So accessibility experience must be designed as well. So accessibility experiences must be designed as well, isn't it? So I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I'm not sure if I ever said UI design is UX design. It's true to an extent, but UI design is certainly not user testing. All right. Testing your website, testing various aspects of it. That's not UI design. User testing, you literally have to sign up to a testing service. Google, I think, has their own their own testing thing that you could use for free. I forget what it's called, like Google Website Optimizer. I mean, it's a thing that you have to do that's outside of the scope of Figma or anything like that. So UI design is not that. It's not user testing. It's also not a lot of the steps that you take before you start designing, like researching the demographics and all that stuff. That's not UI design either. So there is a separation between the two. I just think UX is intentionally sometimes or not, its importance is overstated. I think that's a good term. Okay. And it's weird because user experience should be the most important thing ever, right? But what I mean is that when we're comparing it to UI design, people like to say, UI, whatever. It's all about the UX. I disagree. Anyway, 2 years trying to freelance UI UX front end, and I can't get out of college and job mindset. Some solution to this. Well, see, again, it really depends. I would have to see, what are you doing? What are you doing to promote yourself as a freelancer? This is an area that most beginner freelancers, almost all of them, get wrong. You can't just be great at UX or UI UX. You also have to understand marketing. And I want to do a video on this soon, but when it comes to marketing your businesses as a UI UX designer, it's not just about throwing up a portfolio, putting your projects there, and then going on Twitter, making a few tweets about it, and your friends and family, they know about it now. It's like, no, you will fail every time if you do that, if that's your approach. You have to have a systematic approach to your marketing of your freelance business. And there's a lot of different ways to go about it. So that's one of the things I help with my coaching thing. If you go to designcourse.com/coaching, you can actually have a 45-minute Zoom lesson with me if you pay me $250. That sounds terrible, but I'm busy. But I think it would be cool to do a course on that. Let me know if you'd be interested on a course that would take you through the process of making, because one of the things I want to do, I'm going to get back into, is working as a designer in a freelance context, maybe taking 1 or 2 projects every couple months and then sharing with you what I'm doing with these clients, so you can see more real world stuff, rather than whatever just comes to my mind. I think that would be really cool. Let's see what else is here. I'm just looking through some comments. I meant to start with layout design, topography, color theory, etc., or study the initial phases like research. So yeah, if you really want to say you are an UXer, you can start with that for sure. That's no problem. Again, understanding how to do research, it's not like this huge crazy deal. You can wrap your head around this stuff pretty fast. Let's see, tips for non-designers, back-end devs, for finding quality UI talent for short-term projects. What I would suggest to do is just to grow yourself a personal network of designers, people whose work inspires you, and say, hey, I would love to work with that person. And the way you do that is just go on X or something, or social, or, where designers hanging out. There's a lot of designers on X. There's a lot of designers probably on Threads, even though I hate Threads. There's a lot of places where designers hang out. And if we use the example of X, just follow a bunch of designers and hit them up via DM or in their messages, and be like, hey, I'm trying to get a list of people who are freelancers and available for quick work, and I like your work. I just want to establish, and trust me, these are freelancers. They will want you to do that. Okay. So you have to do the work to find people who are good. And you can go to sites like dribble.com. If you just go to on X and you do a search for hashtag UI UX, you're going to find a bunch of UI UX designers who are using that hashtag, who are sharing their work, and you can check out their portfolio. That's one way. You can go to dribble.com, find a bunch of designers that way. They have like a job thing. It's endless. So finding a great UI UX designer should not be a problem. because a bunch of them are trying to be found. You just got to find them. Let's see. Are you still going through website? No, I'm just doing some question and answers right now. Any tips for a beginner UX UI designer coming from graphic design and trying to build a case portfolio? All right. So I think it's great. I think in an ideal world, if you're going to learn UI UX design, it's nice to have graphic design skills, or at least some of them. And what I mean by that, like, what is the difference between UI design and graphic design, right? Well, graphic design is kind of more of like an umbrella term, but the way I kind of relate it to is like having skills in Adobe Illustrator or any other vector drawing application to be able to design assets if you want. So when a part of UI design sometimes includes graphic design, because there might be an area of the landing page you want it to look like an illustration or something or whatever. So that's a very good thing, a very good skill to have. So if you have good graphic design talent, then work that graphic design talent into your portfolio. Don't make everything flat and like just monotone. Make it interesting and a unique experience. There's a lot of cool websites, portfolios. If you go to awards.com, awwwards.com, and you type in portfolio in the search bar and you find all these portfolios, you're going to find a lot of really cool, creative designs that just feel like a graphic design rather than a UI. So, and your portfolio, you can get away with that. You can be fun with your portfolio because it will catch potential clients and or employers' eye. I'm working on a redesign of a UI where the client needs to see a lot of numbers, data. It sounds like you're the same person who asked this question before. So it's a lot of information that I have to show on a single screen. Any advice? Yeah, you just don't want to sacrifice white space and readability for all this data, so you don't want to clump it in and try to fit everything in just because you want to fit everything in the small size possible. There's a balance work with that. So you really have to think at that. Like there has to be a minimum amount of white space. Things cannot look crammed. So, but you still want to get in, you don't want to have too much. So it's a balance act. And really that's just going to come with practice. And you can also test it too. It's one of those things you can test everything with split testing. It's one of those topics I have not covered, and I want to cover it soon on my channel. Let's see here. Sometimes my mind gets stuck on design and I can't think of new ideas. How can I overcome this? I'll tell you exactly how to overcome that. All right. When you get stuck on something, and this doesn't just apply, this doesn't apply to just UI UX design in the context in which you're framing it. This applies to any skill. This applies to, one second, I'm coming back. Oh. This applies to guitar. Any chance I get to like show this guitar off, I will. Actually, you see this right here? I'm gonna get close to my my camera, which is kind of far away. Hold on, you have to see this. It's amazing. What's that say? Steve Vai. Oh yeah, Steve Vai custom signatures. So this is Steve Vai's guitar. His not his actual guitar, but it's his signature guitar, and I had him sign it. Anyways, back to my point. What I wanted to say is that anything that involves skill that you're trying to learn, whether it be that, design, UI, UX design, or if it's, say, something like learning guitar, learning how to play pool. These are all things that I do, there's so many other skills. When you get stuck and you get frustrated and you feel like, oh God, nothing I'm doing is working. It sounds like crap. It's looking like crap. Take a break. All right. You need to take a break for at least an hour. Come back. You will have fresh eyes. Your brain will be fresh. There's been times when I'm trying to figure out like a fast legato lick or something like that. And I'm like, I'm terrible. And then I leave and I come back. All of a sudden it works a lot easier. It's like it got embedded into my muscle memory. And so taking breaks is just as important as working. And with design, I've experienced this a million times. Like, I'm designing a website, I can't figure out what in the hell is going on. It doesn't look good. I can't make good decisions. It's because I've strained myself too much. I'm working too hard. When you leave and you take a break, even for a day or two, and you come back, you're going to look at your design. You're going to be like, holy crap, why was I doing that? Why was I making those decisions? Right? That looks stupid. So you get fresh, you get new eyes, I call it fresh eyes, like in the case of UI UX design. But taking breaks allows your brain to take that information and sequence it in a way in which you can understand it better. Let me go put this back. Alrighty. So anyhow, okay. Next up. Would love more mid of the week live streams because I usually can't when it's Friday night. Yeah, don't think about it. I was thinking about going like full-time stream, like on Twitch and like all these, like just I could do it every day. And like, who knows? Maybe I can. I don't know. That would be tough though. Yeah, CTA is call to action. I work as a web developer, mostly using Laravel and Bootstrap. So I have some skills that I could use for freelance projects, but never did that. Where would be a good place to start? So let's rework this. Okay, I work as a web developer. So you work as a web developer. So you're already employed. Laravel is awesome, by the way. I used Laravel probably back in 2016, 2017, and I built Coursetro.com, my other site, a long time ago with that, and it was like the greatest experience ever. Laravel is hands down like my favorite. That's my go-to. That's what I would personally use. Like if I start building websites again. So you have and Bootstrap. So I have some skills that I could use for freelance projects, but I never did that. Okay. So basically you want to become you're playing with the idea of becoming a freelance web developer. And what's great about this is you can do that while you're a web developer now that's employed in a traditional employer-employee relationship. And you can create a side hustle out of it. And then eventually, if you play your cards right, it can make way more than what you're making as just a salary-based web developer. So you have to understand, okay, what does it mean to be a freelance developer? What do I have to do? And I could tell you very quickly, but there's so many more details. This is just a very high-level overview, but first, you need to have a few projects. I always tell my coaching clients, you need to have at least 2 real-world projects. Don't be including calculators and weird stuff in your portfolio. That's a major turnoff. If I saw that and like all this person's portfolio was a stupid COVID tracker and a freaking calculator, I'd be like, I'm not hiring this person, maybe as a janitor or something. You need real projects and at least 2. How do you get real projects if you don't have a portfolio? Well, do them for really dirt cheap or free, or create a project yourself and don't include your portfolio in your portfolio. Please don't do that. You risk actually like breaking space-time, continuum if you put your portfolio as a portfolio project. No, actually start a little side hustle, make a little SaaS, a little tiny little app or something, as long as it's legit, so that people can see how you tackle problems. That's the whole point of it. So 2 real projects, then you build your portfolio, feature those projects in case study format because you only have 2. And then you set your rates, experiment with different ideas. You don't have to always work in a setting where, okay, contact me. Okay, tell me about your project details, and then I'll respond and I'll tell you a price. You don't have to work in that context. I didn't for a long time. I basically had my prices up front. If somebody wanted a Photoshop UI design mockup, this is before Figma, I was like, okay, $600 for like a 1-page thing, and guess what? It worked. People would just buy it without talking to me first, most people. And that's what designjoy.com does. Very controversial. People are calling him a liar. But for those of you who don't know, the guy at DesignJoy, Brett at designjoy.com, apparently makes like $150,000 a month or something from like his design subscription service. So instead of people paying him as a designer per project, People pay them as like a $5,000 monthly fee as a retainer. So there's a lot of different ways you can actually make money. But after you have your portfolio up for your web development stuff, then you have to learn internet marketing. And so I talked about that earlier. So I'm not going to rehash that though. But yeah, that's what I would do. I'm looking for a decent guitar. I like Norman's Rare Guitars because they have a lot of variety of guitars. Well, buy used 100%. Go used for sure. Yep. Let's see. In my opinion, a visual UI design that cannot satisfy the accessibility experience can only reach a 3 of 10 in total. Visual design is only a tiny part of everything. Well, okay, so here's the thing. If you want to include that criteria for your own personal interest, that's fine. But for me, I'm not going to sit there and make sure all the elements are accessible and I'm not going to sit there and check in the code, like if they're using the proper attributes and all that stuff. It would just take too much time. But I understand your point for sure. Last question. We're already doing this for 90 minutes. I'm a beginner and want to do Figma strongly. What are the things that I suggest to me? I'm also interested in full stack development. So you sounds like you're all over the place and you're not sure where to start. My best advice to you is don't try to become a full stack developer if you're a beginner and you're not even decent at any of those things. Full stack developer credentials come years in the future, like years. You could say you're a full stack developer after following a full stack developer tutorial, but are you going to be able to put all that stuff into practice on your own projects or a project for somebody else? No. And if you do, it's probably going to look like crap. See, because if you know how Figma works as an application, you're still not a UI UX designer just because you know how it works. You actually have to know how to design. And that's in knowing how to design, it just takes time. There's courses out there. Oh, become a UI UX designer in 30 days. You're going to be a crap UI UX designer in 30 days. Nobody can become a great UI UX designer in 30 days. It's just, I'm sorry. It's just, that's what it takes. Like my course, most people will finish my course, my 16+ hour course, in a month or two, because there's projects and, you know, it takes time to go through those videos and stuff. Are you going to be truly a great seasoned designer from anybody's course after, 16 hours of watching it and following along during a month or two? No, you're not. It takes time and practice. And some will be faster at it than others because some of us have more artistic talent. Because if you have raw artistic talent, it's going to help you for it, because this is a visual thing and we're creating things. So yeah, full stack development. Don't even think of that. What you should do is focus on one thing, one piece of software. If it's UI design, can't go wrong with Figma, and start really going down that rabbit hole. Don't try to tackle full website designs at first. Tackle small things like buttons, drop-down menus, elements of websites. That's how all my courses are structured. You only get to a full website near the end because you need to break down all the fundamentals first. And that's going to be it, because I've already been streaming for a while. Once again, use the code STREAM23 for 30% off of any of my courses, learning UI UX design, CSS, learning how to make things responsive. And then also for the people who might be a little bit more advanced front ends, which released recently, where you will learn how to do really cool interactive animated UIs. All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I will see you all very soon. Soon, rather.